Greetings, Mega Man fans, and welcome back to the Mega Man Super Fighting Robot LPA. In this episode, we'll be taking on the 3 cameo bosses, starting with Shovel Knight. You get the ability to unlock Shovel Knight by defeating Wily with a minimum of, I believe it was 1,000 screws in your inventory. Considering how much emphasis there is on gathering money in Shovel Knight's game, this is kind of fitting. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the fight itself, which may take a little bit of time as Shovel Knight's AI is rather complex. He begins by choosing between a charge, a retreat, or just plain standing perfectly still. If he decides to move, he will jump partway through, and if you try to pass beneath him, he'll do his trademark pogos. He'll use his trademark pogo shovel. His attack afterwards is determined by how close you are to him. If you're fairly close to him, he'll either dig some gems at you, use the dust knuckles, or he'll use the charge stab. If you're further away from him, he'll either shoot 2 shots from the flare wand, throw 2 throwing anchors, or he'll use the propeller dagger. If he decides to not move, there is a chance that he'll use the war horn like he did right there. Okay, now that I've explained him, let's see if I can kill him while he has a significant health advantage. This is a decidedly bad situation I am in right now. Yes, good, just... Ho ho! That was close. The problem with trying to explain everything that's going on while fighting him, that he is still plenty capable of really doing damage during that. Yeah, Shovel Knight's AI is incredibly complex and is far more randomized than many of the bosses in the game. It is doable. Like, I don't think I got hit by the Warhorn even once, and if he does use it while you're too close to him, I think you can just slide beneath it. But while his AI is complex, you can still deal with it, just don't get overconfident. And here we are in the halls of Dracula's castle to take on Simon Belmont, the second of the 3 cameo bosses. Simon Belmont is unlocked by completing the game with none of the purchasable upgrades. No energy balancer, no energy saver, and none of the Mega 2.0A upgrades. Simon is probably one reason why you're able to sell the upgrades all back at the shop. Anyway, Simon himself is a lot less complex than Shovel Knight, thankfully. In fact, he's rather pattern-based. He'll begin by walking towards you, and when he gets close enough, he will do that jump. He'll jump and whip twice. And then he'll use one of his 4 sub-weapons. He is limited in the sense that he cannot use the same... Once he's used one of the sub-weapons, like right now, he's used the cross, he will not use it again until he has used each of his other sub-weapons. And right now, he's gonna throw holy water. See? Call it. Incidentally, if you actually get far enough away from him, you can keep him from using his second whip strike. Oh! The real trick to Simon is that as his health gets lower and lower, he will start using he'll use item crashes to increase the strength of his sub-weapons. During the item crash segment, he's actually invincible. Oh, and now he's on the final item crash. When that is the case, he gains access to a fire whip. However, unless you're on insane mode, the fire whip isn't much of an issue, since, well, by the time he uses the last item crash, he's only at a quarter of his health. Like, the item crashes themselves are used at 3/4 of his health, half health, and then a quarter, respectively. So if you're pretty fast at killing him, his last item crash usually isn't a huge threat. He's a pretty neat fight. Definitely learnable, and once you do learn him, the only real trick is what happens if you let him live for too long. The sub-weapons can be rather difficult to deal with once he gets down to below a quarter of his health. Anyway. I do love how Mr. Weird Guy actually took the time to use the victory themes, and in the case of Castlevania, even have the same style of level clear as the actual series. I like that. It shows a lot of appreciation for the games and for the original games themselves. And here we are in the plains of Corneria, I think, to fight the last of the 3 cameo bosses, Red Mage. Red Mage is the opposite of Simon Belmont, in that you unlock him by getting all of the purchasable upgrades, and then beating the game. That's kinda neat, actually, and I find it fitting in the case of both Simon and Red Mage. While Simon relies primarily on his whip, Red Mages could throw basically everything but the kitchen sink at you. That being said, Red Mage is probably the easiest of the 3 cameo bosses to actually fight, as not only is he quite pattern-based, he's very manipulatable. Ow. How he behaves is he will run forwards, slash at you, and then he'll back away and cast one of his many spells. The fire, too, creates that little burst of flame. Invis makes him temporarily invincible. Cure, too, heals him. Temper is basically a berserk attack that causes him to go crazy, and with slashes. Lightning, too, drops lightning bolts on your head. And then Confusion creates a ring of stars around you that you actually dodge by standing completely still. And if you're unfortunate enough to actually get caught by Confusion, he will confuse you. I know you're Red Mage and all, but the healing is getting annoying. That being said, I do enjoy it when you hand me free hits with Confuse. He's definitely the easiest of the 3 cameo bosses to fight, particularly since one of his attacks is dodged by simply standing still, and then 2 of the spells he casts doesn't really do that much damage. And to top it all off, unless you're me, it's fairly simple to keep him backed against the wall where you have plenty of room to dodge his lightning attack, which is probably his most dangerous one. Well, lightning and temper. Anyway, with that is all 3 cameo bosses, and likewise the end of this episode. So, on that note, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing the 3 cameo bosses, and I shall see you for the next video, where we take on our everlasting rival, Base. But, until then, goodbye!